Hello everybody, it's me, Cloudy, your favorite Korean immersion learner on YouTube. So, I think I may have mentioned before on this channel, I'm not sure. When I first came up with that little phrase, I thought it was funny because I was the only Korean immersion learner on YouTube. There was maybe one other person who ended up deleting their account. And I still wonder what he's up to. Anyway, so the idea is not lost on me that in order to continue being your favorite Korean immersion learner on YouTube, I'm going to have to do some extra work. So I've got some plans in the future for how I can make that happen. So if you want to see that, if you want to be a part of it, sure to hit that subscribe button down below and I will do my best. You know, a lot of you guys who have seen my other videos have noticed that I started shooting things outside, and I wanted to do that again, but I also didn't feel like being cold because it is like there's snow on the ground. It snowed a little bit last night. Some of it has melted because it's been out in the sun, but it's just hovering around freezing. So I thought I would shoot it here in the place where all the magic happens. Immersion headquarters. It's the K-drama central, or the variety show vestibule, if you will. It's where I learn Korean. So it's actually been a while since I've uploaded a video, and some of you guys have noticed that. I did shoot a video right at the end of November. It was going to be my update for the month of November. That would have been, I don't know, the 19th month update or something. And I decided after shooting the video and editing part of it that I was lazy. No, really, I had some extra work that I needed to do to it, and I had an idea for what I wanted in my mind, and so I was waiting to get some B-roll footage, turn it into a project. And at the time I was really busy with some other stuff at work and family things. I ended up not posting it after shooting the entire thing. And some of it was probably good because I think a lot of the stuff that I said I was planning on doing or in the middle of doing, I ended up changing gears on. One of the not so secret things that I started mentioning in the Refold Discords was that I was kind of starting Japanese. I was learning it casually. I was learning it a little bit with my niece, and we both got busy with stuff, and so we decided it was time to drop it. And here's the thing. I work full-time, and learning two languages while working full-time and also being involved with community stuff online and also wanting to make YouTube videos and then also wanting to get a ton of immersion time in. It felt like I was making progress in Korean and then I just added Japanese and was just like not going to make progress in either. So with my schedule, didn't really work out. I'd love to do it again in the future. Maybe I'll come back in a year and try it again. I haven't gone anywhere though. I've been here every day. If some of you guys see me on various Discords, and I did take the month of December. I kind of took a light month. I'd been doing it for almost 2 years, and I decided, you know what, I could take a breather. You know, I did my Anki reviews every day, and I decided to keep my immersion light, and didn't do anything crazy. I didn't really read that month. But after a month of that, I got bored of not doing it. This has become my main passion, more than just a hobby, basically. So after a month of playing Osu, that's really what I was doing instead of immersing, I decided to get back into it. It wasn't only because I had developed some pretty bad wrist strain and near carpal tunnel from pushing myself too hard trying to get up to 5 stars on Osu, but we can just forget that happened. Okay, back to the channel though. Before I tell you guys a little bit about what I've been doing in immersing for Korean and the content I've been watching and things like that, I wanted to kind of address something that I've noticed and something that I realized that I haven't quite spelled out yet. So when I started this channel, it was pretty thoughtless. There was nothing going on in my mind about what I wanted to do with it in the future. I had just seen some update videos, and since I was starting from basically the beginning, with a little bit of casual study for a couple months before, I thought this would be a cool opportunity to track my progress, and maybe I'll be able to look back at these videos later. And so hundreds of people, thousands of people have seen my videos. I've been more and more involved with the immersion learning communities, and this has turned into something that is just kind of becoming more fun and more interesting. And my involvement with these communities is changing. It's something different all the time. But one thing that I didn't want to do, that I never quite made obvious, was that I never wanted to be a poster child for this style of learning. I have been very encouraging of people who do want to do it, and I've helped people who don't know where to start I've helped people find the resources to do the same thing that I'm doing, and I've helped people understand the various tools and pathways that are out there and share my own experiences. This, from the start, it was the only thought I did have was, well, I'm going to share my experiences and track what I'm doing. So I never wanted to prove to anybody that I am going to be an elite level Korean speaker. I had really low expectations of what I could accomplish when I came in. So I never assumed that I was going to be, the best or learn the fastest, or I never wanted to be a fanatic, I didn't want to fanatically spread the word of how this is the best way to learn it and try to convince people to do it. That didn't seem like my job. I just wanted to share it with the people who were interested in it. And also, I never wanted to eventually lead up to being some kind of guru or some kind of person who has mastered the language at one point in order to share my wisdom. There's sometimes these various paths that other people in the language learning community have chosen for themselves, and that's great. Everybody has their own way, but being awesome at Korean and flexing was never going to be my intention. So that's one of the reasons why I haven't made it a huge point to talk about exactly my level of comprehension and the speed at which I'm going and my gains and my speaking ability. It's because that stuff was never important to me. I genuinely just love the process, and I love the people that I've met along the way. I hope to eventually spend more time in person with some of the people that I've met over this whole pandemic thing where we've all just kind of been hunkering down and watching foreign media and reading. So, yeah, I just wanted to say that. I think what I really love is giving back to the community in different ways, and I've done that in some ways in the past, and I have ideas for how I can do that in the future. So, we'll see. If you guys have ideas for stuff that you want to see, let me know in the comments. And, I read all of them, so I'd love to hear your thoughts. Okay, I'm going to keep this part short so I can keep the whole video pretty short because I don't really want to go into too much depth. But I have been doing Korean stuff, and one of the fun things that I got into over the past month or so was searching out for web novels, and there are a ton of these in Korean. And I had tried one before and it was too hard, and I never searched around and tried others. But what I discovered was that there's actually a huge range of genres. The genres can be a little tropey, but that's good. It makes it easier to understand where everything is happening and what's going on in them. But yeah, there's a huge variance in different ability, difficulty, I guess. So I found some that I really enjoy. There's one, I think the English name would be something like S Tier Soldier or something. I don't know. It's a goofy web novel about this guy who used to be like an FPS god. He had his little squad of gamers, and he got conscripted into the military, and as he joined, he's learning about aliens invading, and they captured an alien monster thing, and I don't know. My Korean ability isn't that great, but I'm following it enough to get the idea of what's going on. I think for me, what's the most important thing is my ability to keep up, to catch up with where I am. I don't have to know all the details as I'm learning, keeping track of, or as I'm reading. I don't need to keep track of every single little sentence and development and figure it out and piece it together effortlessly like I would in English. I just want to be able to read and go, oh, okay, I can see what's going on in this scene. And if I get lost a little bit, as long as I can catch up, I'm fine. And that's about all I need out of my books right now. So I'm able to do that. That's one of the reasons why Harry Potter worked out well for me when I read the first book, and now I've read about half of the second book. Because I had known the story so well, it was easy for me to, I could read a little bit, and every other paragraph, if I got a little lost, I would read something that would remind me exactly where I was in the story. So that can be really helpful. It's like a little roadmap, that a little trail of breadcrumbs that leads you through it. You may be completely lost, but then if you know where you are, it makes it a lot more comfortable. So I've been reading the web novels, and I've been watching plenty of Netflix. I've been using a lot of the Migaku extension. I think it's a pretty great tool. There's going to be an update coming out for it soon. And that will bring the $10 Patreon tier alpha stuff to the $5 tier, so that and it'll be a more polished product. The Korean support isn't great. The conjugations are a little bit iffy, like the way that it detects conjugations and breakdowns words. That's a difficult task. Like, it's very hard for any program to do it. One of the best ones is Naver at figuring out the conjugations and stuff. And they're using some complicated stuff behind the scenes to be able to figure that out and give you a dictionary. And it's like their main, the Naver dictionary is one of the most popular dictionaries out there. So they kind of have to get it right. So anyway, it works well enough for what I need. And I'm good enough that I can always see where the root word is. It's not a huge problem. I can always just type it up if I need to. But the pop-up dictionary works well enough most of the time that it's pretty easy to use. So when that goes out to beta, I'm going to make a little video about it, share more about what I think about it, talk a little bit about its future. So keep an eye out for that. That should be in the next few weeks or months or so. Not sure. Okay, one last thing that I wanted to talk about was my output practice. So I haven't started just practicing speaking and writing it, but my thoughts on the matter have evolved over time. So I didn't have a problem with delaying my output. I don't have a reason to use it. I don't know anybody who speaks Korean. And so I was enjoying learning through input and just watching media and reading books and webtoons and stuff. So it wasn't a priority for me. But as the world moves into a more open situation with being able to meet people in public more easily and travel, and I would like to go to Korea sometime. I need to save up a little money, but I should be able to make that happen in the next year or so. And I would love to be able to not just go there and experience the English-speaking world in Korea, but to be able to strike up conversations with people who want to strike up conversations, and be able to read signs and take part in the culture and just feel connected to it. So I want to be able to practice starting to output. And my thoughts about early output have evolved in the sense that I could see my perception of Korean and the way I hear it and the way that I listen to it. I could see that rapidly evolve in the first 6 months, 9 months of learning. And since then, it's been much subtler differences. It always continues to evolve as I learn more words, get more exposure, read more, listen more. But I felt like the majority of that model building was happening in the first, 9 months or so. So I think there's not very much risk in practicing speaking after 6 to 9 months, especially if you are getting a lot of input. I think that's the most important thing. I think that's more important than outputting early or whatever. The most important thing is that if you're getting a lot of input, you're going to be continually revising that pattern, those patterns in your head. And if you're not trying to drill output stuff and trying to get all of everything you learn out every single day for a large part of your studying, I don't see a problem in speaking or shadowing. So anyway, those are where my thoughts are about it now. As of right now, I have started practicing reading my Anki cards out loud and then listening to the audio if they have audio on the back and trying to match the intonation and fitting it with the intonation of people that I want to speak with, like in my head, and then also spending a little time kind of shadowing people that I do eventually want to speak like, people that I really like the sound of their voice or their cadence or their energy. Somebody that reminds me slightly of part of myself, because I think it's good to have a specific person to aim for. So I also want to start practicing writing so that I can finally get past all of the little things in Korean grammar that my mind has been able to kind of ignore or not really clarify because I never had to use it. It was never all that important to get the message across. I want to tighten that up a little bit. So that's my goal. Is I guess it's kind of like a stage 3 thing. I don't know. I don't feel like I know enough to have a really high comprehension of a lot of material, but I have a fairly high comprehension in some domains, like the high school web drama stuff, the young adult web dramas where it's people in office settings or college or situations like that. I have a pretty high comprehension. And when I listen to somebody talk about a subject that I know about, maybe something like playing a video game, I feel like I know enough to be able to copy a lot of what they say. So that's my plan. I'm kind of moving into that realm a little bit. Again, I don't want to be bragging about my ability or like boasting about it or to say it's worse than it is or whatever. I will probably be transparent about what it is when I have something to share, but that to me isn't what's important. But sharing what that experience is like is. So we'll see how it goes. I think I have a lot of plans for the coming months and some ways to interact with the community more and create some content that hopefully you guys will like. And I can't wait to share it with you. So without any further ado, I'll see you guys around.